If elected mayor, how would you address the lack of creative arts and extracurricular activities other than sports for elementary as well as junior and senior high school students?
Let me just tell you this. I came up in an educational system that was second to none. Trenton, New Jersey. I learned everything I know today about theater and arts from a junior high school group of teachers by the name of Mary Ferry and Dominic, I think his name was Ferrantino. I went to theaters when I was in the 7th grade. Kids and young people have to understand that once they're exposed to the arts and cultures, their development will be appreciated more by all of us. Their articulation of where they come from, their appreciation of other cultures, all of that is a result of their exposure. We have to make sure that our young people are exposed to all the arts and cultures and those applications that are illustrative of that in their early years.
Thank you. The question now to Paul Perez.
Could you repeat it for 1 second, please?
If elected as mayor, how would you address the lack of creative arts and extracurricular activities other than sports for elementary as well as junior and high school students?
I want you to repeat it so that I can absolutely clearly understand it, because this is something that truly bothers me. I just visited 2 junior high schools. One was in North Trenton and one was in South Trenton. One had a music program, the other one didn't have a music program. Now, when I went to junior high school, I played the drums, Eric. And I played the congas, so I love creative arts, and I know what it can do for you. There's a special project out there right now that's called the Harmony Project. That's being or was put together by Northwestern University, that clearly talks about the difference that it makes for a child and their learning capabilities when it comes to their appreciation and involvement in the arts, in particular music. So I would do everything within the limits of my power to ensure that the children have an opportunity to experience the same thing that I did when I had Ferguson Jenkins as my teacher and Eric Miller in Park School.
Thank you. Walker Worthy?
Yes, improving the arts, making sure that the kids get enough art and music. Any teacher in this room would agree that in our public school system, we don't have time to teach music and art the way we want it. Unfortunately, people feel that arts and music are for the rich. I think differently. I think that with our curriculum being as tight as it is, and the fact that teachers don't have time to teach it, and we don't have the resources to pay extra music and art teachers like we used to, we've got to do it in an after-school setting. That's why we need more after-school programs that are geared to teaching theater, arts, and music. Hopefully these programs will take our children on trips and expose them to all the things that they need. We are so close to New York and Philadelphia, there is no excuse for us to not be able to expose our kids to the music and the arts, but we got to do it in after-school programs because we can't do it in school.
Well, I have a special affinity for the arts. My father was a jazz pianist for 50 years, so that's very important to me. But I think the question is, how do we do that as mayor and as city administration? And I think, frankly, the answer lies within all of us, which gets back to what I spoke about earlier, and that is engaging the community in a real partnership by creating high-quality after-school programs through that partnership. I mentioned earlier that there are many nonprofit organizations that provide not only social services, but creative and performing arts programs. to which we would want to attach our young people and their families. We can't do it all during instruction time, but clearly, with regard to what's happening after school and on our streets, we want to make sure that we're connecting students and families to these programs in an after-school situation.
Thank you. And finally, on this question, Eric Jackson.
Thank you. I think it's important that we bring back the arts and culture into our schools. When I was in the 7th grade, unbeknownst to me, my music teacher, Paul, name was Carl DiDonato, and he said, put up your hand, and I did like this, and he said, you're going to learn how to play the upright bass, and through that experience today, I'm an accomplished bass player, so we can do your drums and my bass player together. But to the point, I've already started that conversation, so I'm glad the West Ward residents are concerned about it. I met just last week with the leaders of the Trent House, Ellerslie Museum, with the leaders of the Art All Night, Patches Theater, to talk about this very question, to figure out how do we reconnect back arts and culture and our great history in this city. I remember when we had buses that would go from public school to the Trent House, they stopped. As your mayor, I will engage the nonprofits in the process with the educators at the Board of Ed to re-engage that connection back from our arts and culture that is great in our city back into our school system. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, first of all, I'd like to thank the West Alliance, the West Trenton Alliance, the Hiltonia Association, the Lighthouse Ministry, Reverend Griffin, and the League of Women Voters for moderating this excellent debate. But in closing, I'd like to tell you this. Okay. I'd like to thank the committee for hosting this great debate. She said I can stand up, so I guess I'll stand up. What I want to say is, I'll offer a clean and honest approach, something that we haven't had in quite a while in Trenton. We need to make sure that the people that are sitting at this table are honest, ethical leaders that will promote and give us a vision of Trenton that is second to none. The time is now for honesty. The time is now for transparency. The time is now for good government. The time is now for trustworthy for the mayor of Trenton.
Thank you very much. We now go to Paul Perez for his closing statement.
I want to stand up.
Oh no, not up there.
I want everybody to see me, because this is very important. This city has been hurting for too long. This city has been hurting for too long. Too many people run around here telling you what they want to tell you and making you hear what they want you to hear. And that's the truth. We got to get this right. We need to look at every single individual here, and we need to make a true assessment as to what is it that they bring to this table that's going to truly lead us into that new direction. We've already had 24 years of post-civil rights opportunities to help our young children, and we failed them. Can you imagine that? Our schools don't work. Our city can't get it right. We don't have any jobs. And now all of a sudden you're going to wave a magic wand and say, pick me? Don't tell me where you've been and where you haven't been. I'm from Trenton. I was born here. I can come back whenever I want to. It's in my DNA. Right? So I chose to come back also. And I just told you I serve my country. And I have every opportunity that I wish upon every child in this city. Because I came from a poor family. I know poverty. Number 11 or 15 children. Multiply that by 6 times now. 16,000 people unemployed. My family. 14,000 children failed in the school system. My family. People dying of drugs, violence, and crime. My family. I lived high on the horse in Washington, D.C. I chose to come back. And I want to give back. But the only way that I can give back is if you pick me as your next mayor.
Please hold your applause. Our next speaker, who is going to speak standing for 2 minutes, is Oliver Leggett.
That's real good. I appreciate that. Paul said, I am Trenton. And if my friend, if he says I am Trenton, then I is Trenton. I was born just the next block. I went to Grand Elementary School, Clinton Avenue, Junior High School #1, now Martin Luther King. Graduated from Trenton Central High School when it was one of the best in the country. Went to Lincoln University only because I had a family physician who graduated from Lincoln and who, at that time, could afford to pay my first semester to get me started. Because while my family was hard-working, both of them worked, but it was hard-working, they couldn't afford that big shot that came from that first year of college. When I go back and think about the differential in the cost between what I paid to go to school back then and what they pay today, they would have never made it today. But I tell you this, I began 40 years ago more under the compulsion of ideals, trying to mimic Mr. Smith Goes to Congress, to represent the best in our country. I learned a lot sitting on city council as the only minority for 4.5 years, trying to get this community to reflect positively on people of different color and new. Notwithstanding, I have waited, 15 seconds again? That's not the 90 seconds. It's a 2-minute one? Really? Notwithstanding, I come to you tonight under a sense of compelling responsibility. I sit here and I tell you this, I will be the kind of mayor that will make all of you proud.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Eric Jackson.
Good evening and thank you again. And thank you for your patience this evening. Let's be very clear. This election on May 13th is about returning our streets and our neighborhoods to a time when they were safe. It's about our children being able to be educated in an environment that will give them a secure future. It's about you and I being able to walk the streets of our city, not feeling fearful of what may happen or a stray bullet that may attack us. It's about embracing the culture and the history of our city that has sustained itself in the midst of no administrative support. This election is really getting back to the core of what I believe you and I stand for. Good families, job creation that have living wages for citizens of the city of Trenton. But folks, we don't get there by happenstance or by chance. We really don't. It takes experience to deliver those things with you helping in that process. I have 20 years of municipal experience, not far away in D.C., municipal experience, working for this city, working in a way that I worked for you during the floods and the storms, working shoulder to shoulder with you, showing leadership, bringing technology to our city, bringing people together to work for a common cause. My experience and my professional development gives me the skill set that I believe have allowed me already to engage in conversation with legislators across our state, across our region, who are ready and able and prepared to engage us and work with us as partners to make our city better. But that's not enough. I've been working with clergy, business leaders. I've been working with civic leaders, our seniors, and our youth, our educators, because I need to understand as your mayor how best to bring the resources from my experience to help make our city a city that we're proud to live in, a pretty city that we're proud to raise our families in, a city that we call home. Thank you very much.
Please hold your applause. Our next speaker is Jim Golden.
Thank you. For Trenton, the stakes have never been higher, or the consequences more numerous than they are right now. I think that's evidenced by a room that is brimming with standing room only Trentonians. So I would say to you, when you go back home, knock on your neighbor's door, call your family members, call your friends, and let them know that for Trenton, the stakes in this upcoming election have never been higher. There's no silver bullet, as I said earlier, to fix the myriad problems that we're facing in our community. Of course, we've got to deal with crime. Of course, we've got to deal with our public education system. Certainly, we want to create jobs and improve our city's economy. And absolutely, given especially what we've seen over the last 4 years, we must reinvent our government. But that's not enough. We cannot fix or solve 2014 problems with a 1994 playbook. And there are some people at this table who simply want to dust off the old playbook, dress it up, and say that we're moving the city ahead. It's not going to work, folks. It's not going to work. So I would say to you that we need two things in this election. We need leadership and a game plan. And I have both. And over the next 8 weeks, we're going to be having a conversation all across the city of Trenton about how we really and legitimately move this city forward. I invite you please to go to TrentonForward.com, learn all about the Trenton Forward plan, and for coming out tonight the way that you have, let me say I thank you, and certainly I appreciate you listening. God bless. Thank you.